This is the large version of my Bubble Paperweight, one of the first paperweight designs that I did. And it's a really simple concept. You've got a single interior bubble, always colored, and I do it in all sorts of colors, with a layer of clear around that, then a layer of bubbles, and then in everything except for the small size of this that I do, it has an additional layer of bubbles outside that, as well as more glass covering it. So a number of things are happening here. You've got your bright color, you've got your grids of bubbles, so the bubbles are in an obvious pattern. The bubbles come in a couple of different sizes, and you're juxtaposing both the grid of sizes with the grid of bubbles for interest. And then in this particular one, I've also frosted the exterior surface and cut a window, a facet into the piece, and repolished that window, so the obscured surface by the frosting is once again made the interior that is obscured by the frosting is once again made visible by looking through the window. And the nice thing about having a piece that is frosted like this with the clear window is you have a contrast, which people generally like. But in addition to that, by having most of the interior obscured by the frosting and only having a small perspective, the natural human tendency, whether it's at a hoarding at a construction site with a hole in the hoarding, or whether it's a paperweight like this, you want to see more of what's going on inside. So the natural tendency is to change your viewing angle by turning the piece or raising or lowering your head. Turning the piece is easier, and you can see more of what's going on inside. So there's an invitation to interact with the object, which is always a nice thing as an artist to have people do. So this size is my large size. Like I said, I do it in 4 different sizes. The largest size, the next one up from this, actually weighs close to 20 pounds. And the interesting thing about it is when you are working with glass on a blowpipe, because you're not able to support the weight from center of mass, you're working with roughly a 3 or a 4 time multiplier. So when we're actually doing that 20-pound paperweight, we're functionally throwing around 60 to 80 pounds. And since the wall thickness at the bottom is fairly thin, about 1/8 or 3/16 of an inch, and you have to get that hot enough to close the bottom down to create the neck where you're ultimately going to be breaking off the piece wants to be flopping around and falling off, and functionally weighs between 60 and 80 pounds, and you're throwing it around and manipulating it and having to control it and not let it fall off the pipe. So that's my large bubble paperweight, and in this particular case it's frosted and faceted. And on the back, it's virtually completely obscured of what the interior is. You can just tell that there's something green on the inside. And then when you see it through the window, it's quite clear that there's a lot of interesting stuff going on.